Welcome to That Sports Couple with St. Charles Catholic coach Wayne Stein. You got a little new look there, Coach Stein. What's up with that? You look
Now
nice.
y'all finally caught me after a haircut, and I
Do
just
you
got
not
one.
get haircuts during the season?
Not many. I do have a little more gray in the beard after last season, but you know, 44 years and old and counting in year 22 of coaching, so
You
it's
did
like
not have
dog
to tell me
years.
how old you are because I covered you when you were in high school.
I know. I remember.
Well, it's good to see you, man. Another season. This is a fun week always as you get ready for game number one.
Yeah, it's like you feel like you have so much time, and then before you know it, it's here. You talk about the things you have to get done, and next thing you know, somehow the season creeps up on you, and you think you're prepared, and there's always something, sideline pass or media that you haven't done. So you would think after all these years you'd have it figured out, but it's just always a very fluid situation.
Well, Coach, last year you brought back a young team. You were and lost a lot of guys from your championship run the year before, and then you played a monster schedule, and the two didn't work too well, did they?
No, and
Welcome to Florida.
what's that? Yeah, it was the result was not, I don't think, indicative of where we were. I still thought we were somewhere in a top 8 team in the division. We went 4-7. The schedule was brutal. As you said, we had lost 17 starters from the prior year. We showed flashes of being a good football team. We lost those games we had won in the past, and I hope that experience will show this year. Had a young quarterback who took some lumps early but played well at the end of the year. So we returned 7 starters on offense, 7 starters on defense, and our kicker, who's been a mainstay. So, you know, I think we're a better football team, but with this schedule, I can't guarantee you the results are going to be different.
Well, Coach, you mentioned Landry LeBlanc, not by name, but by quarterback, and I got a chance to be around him this summer playing baseball with the Hogs, and what a great kid he is, and what a good competitor. So I know you're expecting big things from him, I'm sure.
Yeah, Landry's a winner, and he's his biggest critic. I think the biggest job I have is to convince Landry how good he is or how good he can be. He's almost over humble, and he has all the tools. He can make every throw. Last year we treated him like he couldn't run. He's going to run the football. He did that already in the first 2 outings. But I mean, he's here at 6:50 in the morning every morning, going through film, reviewing things he likes, things he doesn't. So he's a student of the game. He wants to be great. And I think progressively throughout the year, this year, he'll get better as well.
Well, he's fun to watch, fun to be around. Tell us more about you guys. How you looking on offense?
So we returned 5 out of 6 when you count the tight end on the offensive line. So led by Jacques Vigner, the left tackle who started for us, even some as a freshman. A left guard is Parker Mead, who's kind of a newcomer. Him and Aiden Lowry, kind of in and out. Our center, Logan Dewhurst, he's a little bit of a newcomer himself, but guys that have some experience from last year. And our right guard, Colt Craig, and our right tackle, Charles Taylor, they returned from last year. And our fine tight end and Gabe Kugler, they returned. So, that's kind of where it starts. And then obviously Skylar Edwards, who's kind of our guy. We're going to run the football. Whenever you talk about those 5 guys returning and Skylar returning. And then our fullback is Maddox Madair, who he adds another dynamic as far as, his size, so we can be a power football team. Evan Dufour will be another guy, see a touch of the football. And then we got a slew of receivers who, are seniors, but kind of waited their turn. Our go-to guy will be Walker LeBlanc. Claude Remondale will be on the other side. And then we use Jaden Grove, Colson Tribe, and Bryant Williams, all seniors. So we have some experience returning that side of football. We're going to be a run-first offense. That's who we are. Try to win boring, win ugly, get back to the common way.
Sports writer's dream. Run the clock. Run the clock.
On defense, I know you got some experience in the back end, some talent in the back end. Go ahead and tell us about those guys.
Yeah, same thing. 7 guys with experience. It really starts in the middle of the defense, Marty, with Brooks Monica, who had over 100 tackles last year, and a guy on side of him, Creed Mareks, who was just a sophomore, but really played well last year. In the secondary return, Dax Prejean, and as you probably know, Marty, all these names sound the same, sound familiar. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of legacy kids here at St. Charles. You know, the parents went here. A lot of guys that play multiple sports. It's all the
Only
same
the first
guys.
names change.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But we do return 2 fine corners, Preston Coleman at one corner and Chris Don McLean at the other corner, who you also see them spot play a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. Got some guys competing for spots at the safety position, and Bryce Dupart and James Tyson. And then our star position is Briggs Anderson. If you remember, Brock Anderson is his son, another legacy kid, and then Aaron Hilly. So, you know, we got some guys back there with a little bit of experience, and a lot of guys where, you know, they're not just playing at St. Charles, they're playing for St. Charles, and I think that
Oh,
does matter. And then our front, you know, our front 4, 2 of the 4 return. Tyler Bovio was forced to start last year as a freshman, but he fought through it and did some good things for us. Byron Bailey started last year for us as a sophomore. He's back. And then, you know, we returned a bunch of guys competing for the job in Cole Barony and Frank at the other tackle position, and then Caden Acevedo at the end. So we think we have a nice combination on the defensive side of some size and some speed. We think we can run to the football. You know, we build it around our defense. That's how Coach Monica did it. That's how I continue to do it. You know, we expect those guys to be lights out.
question from the coach's wife. What was the biggest challenge personally for you last year with such a strange season for you? What was the
You
biggest
know,
challenge?
and I'm sure Marty can attest to this. One, I didn't do a very good job of leaving it at the office. You know,
Ah,
I had been blessed as a personally to have 3 unreal seasons as a head coach, and I wasn't naive to think that that's what it was going to be like every year. But you know, I didn't handle that balance. You know, I slept at the office, and what I do have to say about my kids a year ago, Laurie, which I am proud of, you know, and even after we lost in the dome in 23, you know, you see a lot about your program in adversity, you know, and when we lost it in 23 in the dome, my kids weren't throwing their helmets. They handled themselves well in the press conference. Last year when things were going rough, not one kid quit. Uh, and then, you know, at the end of the season, we lost to Madison Prep, and that night, our special teams coordinator and strength coach, he passed away in his sleep. So
yes,
it kind
I
of put
remember that.
everything into perspective. You know, we brought the team in, and the way they handled that part of honoring him and being respectful at the funeral and whatnot that week. It made you realize that I think we are doing something right, and that it is about more than wins and losses and championships. So I got to be honest, in that regard, I was as proud of our program as I've ever been.
Well, in this profession, we affect more lives than we ever know, and hopefully that they remember the things we taught them. Obviously, losing a coach, they get that perspective way too early in their lives.
Yeah, and then you know, they've been on a mission to honor him this season, and like I say, you know, because that's a lot of pressure you can put on yourself. Honor him in the way that we approach each day. You know, he was a hard nosed coach who really fit in here in the River Parishes and was well loved. We're going to dedicate the weight room to him and name it after him in a couple of weeks. So, you know, my first 24 months on the job. You know, I thought Hurricane Ida was a big problem, but you know, my first 24 months were like a storybook, and in the last 24 months have been tough. So I hope that I'm the same person. I can't guarantee I am, but I hope that I'm the same person to our kids, and not being so result oriented. And I hope that our kids can see that from our coaching staff, and you know, like you said, Marty, learn some life lessons.
well, your perspectives change, and you certainly had there. But that's good. I mean, you're growing too. You were the young coach, even though I know you said 22 years, but it takes some time being the guy in charge to get everything exactly where you want it.
Right, and also, I mean, as I told you, back to back in two sports in 2 years, and I was not naive to think that was the life that that I was gonna live, and I can't sit here and complain. I'm a, I'm a proud comment. I've been blessed to play for 9 championships in football as either a head coach or assistant, and
Wow,
9 championships in baseball as either head coach or assistant. So
that's
for
amazing.
me,
That's
right?
an
I can't be for
amazing
me.
statistic.
I just hope that we had a good place where they just want us to get the most out of our kids. That is what I didn't think we did last year. I didn't think we got. I thought that team was a better team than where we got, and I have to do a better job when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Well, you're moving you have the opportunity starting this week, a tough opener with Newman. We talked a little bit on our show about your opener with Newman. What do you know about the new coach?
Well, Coach Weiss is familiar with us, and we're familiar with him. Most recently, he's been offensive coordinator at U High, in which we scrimmaged for the last. So he started in 2012, so the last 14 years. And then when we beat U High in the semifinals in 2023, he was offensive coordinator. So I won't say that there's not familiarity there. The defensive coordinator from last year returned. So, I think there's some familiarity on both sides. You still don't know exactly what to expect. But, it's been a good rivalry for a long time. And they got the better of us last year. And, they returned some good pieces. They lost some offensive linemen, and they lost Eli Friend, who was an excellent high school quarterback as well. So it's going to be a good matchup.
And there's always the emotions that go with this game. Plus, it's the first game of the season. Everybody's ready to hit somebody else, aren't they?
It is, and look, we needed the scrimmage and we needed the jamboree. We made some mistakes, and I hope that we got those fixed. I do think that we got better from the scrimmage to the jamboree, and we're gonna have to get better from the jamboree to here to be successful, and then going forward, we're gonna have to be a team that has its eyes on the prize about how good can we be at the end, and not get caught up in the result, whether we're winning or losing. So I think that's who we're going to have to be. We know we're going to have to run the football. We're going to have to play extremely great defense and special teams. The returning starter I didn't talk about is our kicker, Tyler Miliotto. I mean, he's made more big kicks at this program than most people have in a career. I mean, he beat Lutcher on a game winner. He made a game winner in overtime against University High in the semifinals. He's made field goals in the dome. He's missed field goals in the dome. I think it's important to have a kicker who not has just had success, but has also had some failure as well.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't healthy last year. We think he's healthy this year. So we're excited about having him as well.
Excellent. Good job. All right.
Well, as a coach, I always tried to coach toward the end rather than game to game. Of course, my sport made that much more easy. But your prep is for the championship and not for week to week. And I think you have that idea right now, right?
I do, and it's hard to get to the kids. It's Monday is not just about beating Newman. It's about long term, and if you were playing an opponent that you thought you didn't have to prepare for, which we don't have those on our schedule. It's old cliche, coach, but you're getting better, you're getting worse. You're not just gonna stay the same. So I think that's gonna have to be our goal: is how good can we be in the end? And those Friday nights, we wanna perform and do well, but we can't let the result, whether it's a win or loss, affect that growth. Because if we're gonna make any run in this thing, we're gonna have growth each and every week.
Well, in your closing right here, what you have to tell, what would you like to tell the Comet faithful, man? What do they have to look forward
Stay faithful.
Well,
to?
we are blessed, because not only we have 124 players in our program.
Wow.
which is 8 through 12. And I can't say a lot of people that are considered, we're 4A. No, and, in closing, I just want to say, we got 124 players, 8 through 12. We only have about 230 males in the school. I don't know how many people can say that in a school of our size. We coach our kids hard, and we're allowed to do such because of our parents. A lot of people in this day and age, they don't talk about their parents in a positive light. We have to be a certain way to be successful here. We have really good high school talent. We average in signing between 1 to 3 guys to the next level a year. But we're going to go against people that are going to be bigger than us, that are going to be fast. I have a skill set, and the only way for us to be successful is to hold them to an extreme standard.
So you're not going to let last year lower the expectations for this year, correct?
No, and I think I always know that. Last year's a motivating tool. Maybe I think some of our kids didn't think that could happen. And now we know. Just like winning a championship. For a long time around here, when I was in school, it was something like you never really thought could happen, and now it's the expectation. So
Sure.
I hope that we learn from last year and just continue to grow each and every week. And if we do that, it'll give us a chance to be a contender in the end.
There you go. Well, we hope you have great success. I hope this year is not as challenging for you personally and professionally. And hope everything, and look, knock wood, no hurricanes this year so far. Let's keep it that way.
That's right. Keep praying.
Well, we'd like to get back with you during the season a couple times and just kind of share how things are going. So good luck on week 1, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you guys for reaching out. I appreciate what you do.
Thanks for joining us.